From the Presidential Palace, Manila, Dateline Malacañang.
Good day. Radio Pilipinas World Service can also be heard on shortwave broadcast through the shortwave facilities of the United States Agency for Global Media or Voice of America on the following shortwave frequencies: 15.640 MHz, 17.750 MHz, and 21.720 MHz. I'm your host, Leo Magpayo, and this is Dateline Malacañang. Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. said the government is now taking the necessary legal steps to bring fugitive former lawmaker Zaldy Ko back to the Philippines as he remains detained in the Czech Republic. In a video message, the president said he has instructed the Department of Justice and the Department of Foreign Affairs to coordinate directly with Czech authorities. President Marcos added that a high-level team will oversee the repatriation process, which will follow established legal procedures between the two countries. The chief executive assured the public that Ko will face the charges filed against him once he is returned to Philippine custody. Ko is among 16 individuals charged with graft and malversation over an alleged substandard 289 million peso flood control project in Nawan, Oriental Mindoro. The Anti-Money Laundering Council also reported that he received 802 million pesos in check deposits from a company owned by his family while serving as a public official. The Sandigan Bayan has declared him a fugitive from justice. Ko was arrested while attempting to enter Germany and later turned over to Czech authorities.
Magandang araw po sa inyong lahat at magbibigay na ako sa inyo ng pahayag tungkol sa kalagayan ni Zaldy Ko. Nananatili po siya sa kustodiya ng Czech Republic at isinasagawa natin ang lahat ng mga kinakailangang hakbang para sa kanyang pagbalik dito sa Pilipinas. Inutusan ko ang Department of Justice kasama ang Department of Foreign Affairs na pangunahan ang pakikipag-ugnayan sa mga otoridad ng Czech Republic upang matiyak na maayos at naayon sa proseso ang lahat ng kinakailangan. Magpapadala rin ng high-level coordination team upang tutukan ito. Ang ganitong mga proseso ay may sinusunod na mga legal na hakbang sa pagitan ng mga bansa, kaya't nangangailangan na sapat na panahon upang maisagawa ng tama. We will bring Zaldy Ko home, and we will do so in accordance with the law. He will answer to the Filipino people.
That was Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. visited the Araneta Center Terminal in Cubao on Monday to inspect the Department of Transportation or DOTR's service contracting program, a key government effort to shield transport workers and commuters from the impact of surging global oil prices. The program, led by the DOTR and Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board, or LTFRB, provides financial assistance to jeepney, utility vehicle, or UV Express, and bus operators in exchange for following authorized routes, deploying units consistently, and granting fare discounts to passengers. It aims to keep public transport running smoothly while easing daily costs for commuters. Around 20,000 traditional and modern jeepneys, buses, and UV Express units are expected to join the program. Drivers and operators will receive 30 pesos to 100 pesos per kilometer on top of their fare income. Commuters will benefit from a 20% fare discount, while seniors, students, and persons with disabilities will get 40% off. President Marcos said the initiative is part of broader government support as fuel prices continue to rise due to tensions in the Middle East. He assured that assistance will continue for as long as global oil markets remain volatile. The president also highlighted preparations for possible spillover effects on overseas Filipino workers or OFWs, saying the government remains ready to assist those affected by regional instability. The chief executive noted that agencies are closely monitoring global developments and studying additional measures to cushion the impact of fluctuating oil prices on Filipino families.
Dateline Malacañang.
A new Okta research survey shows an uptick in Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.'s trust and performance ratings in the first quarter of 2026. In its Tugon ng Masa nationwide poll conducted from March 19 to 25, Okta reported that the president's trust rating climbed to 54%, up from 48% in late 2025. His performance rating also improved, rising 4 points to 55%. Major approval was recorded across all regions, led by Balance Luzon at 57% and the Visayas at 56%. By socio-economic class, performance ratings were highest among classes A, B, C, and D at 56%, while Class E registered 48%. About 26% of respondents said they were dissatisfied with the president's performance, with the highest dissatisfaction coming from Mindanao at 37%. Across socio-economic groups, dissatisfaction ranged from 26 to 28%. Trust ratings were strongest in Balance Luzon at 59% and lowest in Mindanao at 45%. By class, trust was highest among Class D at 55%, followed by Class ABC at 52%, and Class E at 49%. At least 30% of respondents expressed distrust toward the president, with the highest level again in Mindanao at 45% and the lowest in Balance Luzon at 22%. Distrust was most pronounced among Class ABC at 39%. Okta said the survey was based on interviews with 1,200 adult respondents and carries a plus-3% margin of error at a 95% confidence level.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. on Monday led the oath-taking of former Armed Forces of the Philippines or AFP Chief Eduardo Oban Jr., who has officially assumed the post of National Security Advisor following the retirement of Secretary Eduardo Año from public service. Malacañang said Oban's entry into the national security portfolio underscores the administration's push to further strengthen defense planning, interagency coordination, and long-term strategies aimed at keeping the country free, peaceful, and resilient amid evolving security challenges. As National Security Advisor, Oban will oversee the government's security priorities and ensure continuity in policies and programs designed to safeguard the nation. Oban is a member of the Philippine Military Academy class of 1979 and brings decades of experience in military operations, defense planning, and national security management. He previously served as Deputy Chief of Staff for Plans, or J5, and headed the Visiting Forces Agreement Commission.
Dateline Malacañang.
About 1,300 registered Transport Network Vehicle Service or TNVS drivers have received 5,000 pesos each in cash assistance from the national government as authorities ramp up support for the transport sector amid the ongoing energy crisis driven by tensions in the Middle East. The payout, conducted under a Department of Social Welfare and Development or DSWD relief program, took place at the Quezon City Elevated Promenade along Elliptical Road in Quezon City. Beneficiaries were mostly TNVS drivers from Metro Manila and nearby provinces, many of whom have been struggling with rising fuel costs and higher day-to-day operating expenses. Officials said the assistance is part of a broader government effort to cushion the impact of volatile global oil prices on transport workers, one of the sectors most exposed to sudden spikes in fuel costs. The initiative also follows President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.'s directive to strengthen and accelerate programs that directly support affected drivers and operators. DSWD Secretary Rex Gatchalian emphasized that the agency is now preparing to shift to digital wallet payouts for future rounds of assistance. He said the system has undergone initial testing and validation to ensure secure and orderly transfers. The DSWD added that the move to digital distribution is expected to speed up the release of aid, reduce long queues at payout sites, and make the process more convenient for transport workers who often operate on tight schedules.
But as we mentioned before, itong yung mga TNVS, yung mga MC Taxi, yung mga service delivery, meron niyang mga e-wallets. So now na mataas na yung confidence level namin dun sa listahan kasi na-validate at na-verify na namin sa first round, we will start doing e-wallet transfers sa mga succeeding rounds.
Department of Social Welfare and Development Secretary Rex Gatchalian.
Dateline Malacañang.
The Philippines and the United States formally opened the 41st Balikatan exercises on Monday, marking another major milestone in the long-standing defense partnership between the two allies. The annual drills aim to strengthen interoperability, improve joint response capabilities, and reinforce security cooperation amid evolving regional challenges. This year's Balikatan brings together an estimated 17,000 troops, including participating forces from the Philippines and the United States, as well as military personnel from Australia, Japan, New Zealand, Canada, and France who are joining as observers. The opening ceremony is being held at Camp Aguinaldo with top Philippine and U.S. officials in attendance. Leading the event are Defense Secretary Gilberto Chitoro Jr., Foreign Affairs Secretary Maria Teresa Lazaro, and U.S. Ambassador to the Philippines Mary Kay Carlson. Senior military leaders are also present, including Armed Forces of the Philippines or AFP Chief of Staff General Romeo Bronner Jr. and U.S. Marine Expeditionary Force Commander Lieutenant General Christian Wortman. Officials say this year's iteration of Balikatan will feature expanded joint training, humanitarian and disaster response operations, and combined maritime activities, all designed to enhance coordination between the two militaries and ensure readiness for a wide range of scenarios. The exercises will run for several weeks across multiple locations in the Philippines, underscoring the continued commitment of both nations to regional stability and collective defense.
Dateline Malacañang.
Meanwhile, a senior United States military official is underscoring that the ongoing Balikatan exercises between the Philippines, the U.S., and partner nations are not directed at China or any specific country. Speaking to reporters after the opening ceremony at Camp Aguinaldo, U.S. Balikatan Exercise Director Lieutenant General Christian Wortman said, "The drills are focused on strengthening the alliance and improving joint capabilities." Wortman stressed emphatically no when asked if the exercises were aimed at China. He explained that Balikatan is designed to reinforce the Mutual Defense Treaty, enhance interoperability, and boost readiness for a wide range of operations from humanitarian assistance to security missions. He added that there is no target nation or adversary in the exercise scenario, emphasizing that the objectives remain centered on stability and regional cooperation. Wortman also clarified that the conflict in the Middle East has not affected U.S. participation in Balikatan. Only minor adjustments were made due to operational requirements, but all major components of the drills remain intact. He highlighted the growing role of Japan, noting that the participation of the Japan Self-Defense Forces reflects deepening security cooperation among the Philippines, Japan, and the United States. He said they look forward to expanding these partnerships further. This year's Balikatan brings together troops from 7 nations: the Philippines, the United States, Australia, Japan, Canada, France, and New Zealand, with around 17,000 personnel expected to take part in the exercises running until May 8th. Wortman said the U.S. contingent alone is projected to reach close to 10,000 service members, describing it as a strong demonstration of Washington's commitment to the Mutual Defense Treaty and its long-standing training program with the Armed Forces of the Philippines.
Dateline Malacañang.
In other news, the Overseas Workers Welfare Administration, or OWA, said a majority of overseas Filipino workers, or OFWs, brought home by the government in recent months returned because of the conflict in the Middle East, a situation now pushing the agency to scale up its reintegration programs for displaced workers. OWA Administrator Patricia Yvonne Kaunan reported in a briefing that 6,532 OFWs and dependents have been repatriated so far, based on combined OWA and Department of Migrant Workers, or DMW, records. Of that number, 3,258, or roughly half, were assisted directly by OWA. Kaunan detailed the reasons behind the surge in repatriations. 2,712 OFWs, or 67%, came home due to the unrest, while 457, or 12%, returned after losing their jobs because of contract termination. Another 206 workers were repatriated for medical reasons. She noted that assessments conducted with the Department of Health, or DOH, and the Department of Social Welfare and Development, or DSWD, show many of the returnees were traumatized by the violence and instability they personally witnessed. OWA's support, she emphasized, goes beyond the flight home. The agency provides temporary shelter, domestic airfare to home provinces, and a full suite of on-site repatriation and post-repatriation services, all funded through its Emergency Repatriation Fund, or ERF. Kaunan added that 55% of this year's ERF allocation has already been utilized, reflecting the scale of the government's ongoing repatriation operations.
Base sa record ng OWA at ng DMW, nasa 6,532 na ang mga na-repatriate repatriate na OFW at dependent nila. At out of the 6,532, kami ng aming mother department at Department of Migrant Workers, magkatuwang kami mula umpisa sa pag-charter ng mga flights nung wala pang mga commercial flights, sa paggawa ng mga group bookings. Ang ibig sabihin, minsan sa isang eroplano na nag-reserve tayo ng mga slots, katulad ng mga ibang eroplano na naggaling sa Damam at galing sa Kuwait. Minsan 30 lang dun sa upuan ang hindi kumbaga binayaran ng ating pamahalaan. So out of the 6,532 repatriated OFWs at kanilang mga anak, ang OWA po ay nakapag-sponsor ng 3,258 or close to 50% ng ating mga OFWs at kanilang mga dependents. At nung nagsimula na nakapag-charter ang DMW at OWA at bumalik na ang mga commercial flights slowly, ay tuloy-tuloy na yung nagiging repatriation. And this week alone, para sa OWA, we will be repatriating an additional close to 700 OFWs, mainly coming from Kuwait. Marami tayong mga kababayan na babalik din from Kuwait and from the United Arab Emirates. Tuloy-tuloy rin naman ang repatriation from Saudi Arabia. Mula on-site assistance, repatriation assistance, pati post-repatriation assistance, lahat ito ay funded by the Emergency Repatriation Fund ng OWA or ERF. For the information of our mga kababayan, the ERF, we have already utilized 55% of the allocation for this year when it comes to the Emergency Repatriation Fund. Meron po kaming gaan na 1.2 million na i-report naman po natin na nasa 200 million plus ang continuing. At pag tinotal po ito, nasa 55% na ang utilization ng OWA. At dahil po dyan, ay humingi po tayo ng additional na budget or supplementary budget sa Department of Budget and Management para sa dalawang bagay. Emergency Repatriation Fund at ang tingin ko equally important at tingin natin sa pamahalaan ang reintegration.
Patricia Yvonne Kaunan.
Dateline Malacañang.
And finally, the Philippine Coast Guard, or PCG, is reminding maritime stakeholders and sea travelers to strictly follow the notices to mariners issued in connection with the ongoing Balikatan 2026 exercises across several regions, including northern and southern Luzon, Palawan, the Visayas, and eastern Mindanao. PCG spokesperson Commodore Noemi Kayabyab said the advisories are meant to ensure the safe and orderly conduct of the military drills and to prevent any maritime incidents while exercises are underway. The Coast Guard is urging ship captains, shipping companies, motor bangka operators, fishermen, and coastal residents to observe all safety protocols and coordinate with the nearest PCG station before entering areas covered by the advisory. The public is also encouraged to monitor official PCG platforms for further announcements and avoid restricted waters to maintain maritime safety and support the smooth implementation of Balikatan 2026.
Dateline Malacañang.
Before we conclude our program, Radyo Pilipinas World Service of the Presidential Broadcast Service can be heard over the following shortwave frequencies: 15.640 MHz, 17.750 MHz, and 21.720 MHz. Radyo Pilipinas World Service is also live on audio streaming. Just download eBox PBS Receiver on your Google Play Store or the App Store from your Apple phone. You can also visit our Facebook page and YouTube channel. Just type in and search for Radyo Pilipinas World Service. Kindly subscribe, like, and share our post as well. And that concludes this edition of Dateline Malacañang. For Radyo Pilipinas World Service, this is Leo Magpayo. Good day and stay safe.
From the Presidential Palace, Manila, Dateline Malacañang.